Hey everyone, this is Nicole Rosenberg. I'm an intern at Encore Enterprises Inc. and unfortunately I wasn't able to meet any of you all, but I decided to create a group curriculum with the help of Kaylee, and this one is all about dance. And so uh, let's just go through the slides and talk a little bit more about this. So there are a bunch of different dance types. Dance can be any movement of the body in a rhythmic way, usually to music, to express an idea or emotion, release energy, or simply to enjoy the movement itself. And there are different types of styles of dance. So there's ballet, tap, jazz, hip hop, ballroom, such as the tango, foxtrot, and waltz, and Indian classical dance, and as well as contemporary and modern. And so each style of dance has different backgrounds, different roots that it comes from. So ballet came from Russia, as well as France. Um, Hip hop is kind of came from all these different styles. It is, I feel like, one of the more recent styles of dance. Um, and then Indian classical style obviously comes from India. Um, the contemporary modern is a form of ballet, but just a little bit more free. Um, and same with some of these other ones. They all come from somewhere. And so I thought I'd kind of go in depth about each one and kind of show what dance can kind of do for you, especially in this time of quarantine where maybe we're all a little cooped up, we're not doing the things that we would normally be doing. So just finding maybe another hobby or dance could be just a way to let off some energy. Um, so, what dance can do for you? Dance has many benefits, such as um, the mental benefits are decreasing anxiety, increasing self esteem, improving well being. And the physical benefits of dance increase flexibility, it builds muscle strength and tone, it helps you increase your endurance, and you have better balance and spatial awareness. Um, and it's also fun. I mean, dance. Obviously, you can see it can do a lot for you, um, and it's just dance can also just be a fun way to let off some steam, like I said before. But it also gives you all these benefits while also being like a fun thing to do, compared to maybe something like going to the gym or doing like a simple workout. Like dance is also a really, really great way to exercise, and exercise releases endorphins, and endorphins make you feel better. So why not, right? All right. So the first style of dance that I'm going to go over is ballet. Ballet is an artistic dance performed using precise and highly formalized set steps and gestures. There's different types of ballet. So there's a story ballet, which is not surprisingly, it tells a story. And this type usually has action, characters, and a beginning and an end. So an example of this is the Nutcracker, which usually they perform like around Christmas time. You can think of a story ballet as kind of almost like showing like a story, like a book. You know how the book has beginning, middle, end, a climax somewhere in there, and has like certain characters that play certain roles. And so story ballet is exactly like that. In the Nutcracker, it's all about this little girl from a good family who is spending Christmas Eve with her family, and she kind of takes this wild journey into this land, kind of almost like Alice in Wonderland in some ways. And it's a really interesting story, and it's also beautifully done by a lot of dancers who are really well trained. Um, so another type of ballet is plotless ballet, and this type has no storyline. Instead, they use movements of the body and theatrical elements to interpret dance. Um, interpret music, create an image, or express emotions. So for plotless ballet, It doesn't really matter. Um, it's not necessarily telling a story, but it's conveying some sort of emotion, some sort of energy that you want the crowd to feel, or sometimes if you want to feel. So, an example of a plotless ballet is, I mean, I don't have a concrete example, but just ballets that don't have, like, it's not like the Nutcracker. It's, like I said, like, it's very much just telling a story. Oh, it's not telling a story basically. And the movements in plotless ballets tend to be a little bit more free. Um, so we'll get into that now. But basically, there's different styles of ballet. Um, and the main style that we probably all know is classical. So this has graceful flowing movements, heavy emphasis on turnout with legs and feet. Balance, it's all about balanced symmetry, and story ballet is used more with classical ballet, which is usually why you won't see a lot of plotless ballets with classical, but not always. There are some, but it's just more frequent that you'll see like a classical ballet and it'll have some sort of plot, um, and characters. So contemporary ballet is the style that was influenced by modern dance, which we'll go over later, and it includes more floor work, more turn in of the legs and feet, and a greater range of movement, and sometimes even bare feet while you dance. With classical ballet, usually you have regular like ballet shoes, or sometimes even point shoes, which have little wooden blocks in them, and it can be extremely painful for the dancer. But it makes the lines in ballet look so much better. With contemporary ballet, you'll find it more. Um, you won't be using the point shoes. It'll be regular ballet shoes or bare feet. Um, the turn in and turn out of legs is really important in ballet. It dictates kind of the style. So, like it said in classical, you're always turned out, meaning your hips are kind of pulled out, and your feet are usually in some sort of turnout. Meaning, the turnout, I guess, to explain it better, is um, there's different positions in ballet, but a first position is kind of like if your heels were together, and then your feet were out, and it looked a slice of pizza in the middle, or like a slice of pie, where it's just like the outline of it. And usually, a lot of people confuse turnout with like, oh, it's just your legs being turned out. Well, it's also your hips, and it's better if it's your hips turned out compared to just your legs, because that can put a lot of strain if you're not turning out your hips. So basically, contemporary is a lot more. It's not necessarily turned in the opposite way, where it's like your legs or your feet are completely turned in, but it's more they're parallel, so they're right beside each other in contemporary ballet. It's a lot less strict than classical. For and so ballet teaches different types of things, but mainly teaches work ethic, dedication, and perseverance. It's a lot more disciplined form than a lot of other types of dance, but it's also a really great way of self care and a fun way to express your emotions. And like I said, it's a lot more strict, but it also I don't know, it provides like beautiful, like it's almost like a calm like that settles over your brain when you're doing this type of dance. Like it's because it has to be so precise usually. Um, it's I don't know, it relaxes you almost. And especially with a plotless ballet or contemporary type of style, it's a really great way to express emotions. Ballet, a lot of the times you can express joy and sadness and just a lot of different emotions, even within the more strict structure. All right, the next style of dance is ballroom. Ballroom is technically any kind of social dancing done for recreation. So standard ballroom dance includes waltz, foxtrot, and the tango. I know it's kind of hard when we're all kind of self quarantining and social distancing to kind of picture what ballroom would be like, but yeah, it is usually done with partners. Um, and we've some of you probably heard of the waltz. I mean, that's pretty standard, and the tango as well. But the waltz has usually some slides in it, a step, and in 3/4 time. And the couple turns while they're dancing across the floor in a counterclockwise motion. So to describe the 3/4 time a little bit better, um, usually in music when it's written down, it's in measures, and those measures hold a certain amount of beats. So the 3/4 time just kind of tells you the tempo and how many beats are in a measure. Um, and so when it's in 3/4 time, it's a lot slower. Um, it's definitely not fast, and the waltz has a lot more elongated movements. It's not necessarily fast movements because the music is in 3/4 time, meaning it's a little bit slower. The next style of ballroom is the foxtrot, and it's influenced by ragtime, which is a certain type of music. It's usually like a jazzier style of music, and it's a 4/4 syncopated rhythm, primarily walking steps, chassés, and quarter turns. So, um, in a lot of dance, especially ballet, a lot of their terminology comes from French words. So in chassé, just to give you a little background, it's kind of when you move your legs together and you bring them together to step out. And uh, so the 4/4 syncopated rhythm normally would be decently slow, but because it's syncopated, some foxtrots can be a little bit faster. Um, doesn't mean always, but foxtrot is a little bit faster than a waltz, um, but maybe not as fast as some other types of uh, ballroom. And so um, the next style is tango, and it's smooth ballroom steps starting at a 2/4 and going into a 4/4 time. So tango um, is really smooth, sometimes also like more of like a sensual type of ballroom dance. And it really kind of it switches tempo fairly easily. So 2/4 is pretty fast. Um, Again, the two dictating tempo, four dictating how many beats are in that like measure. Um, and it goes into 4/4 time, which again is like pretty normal, pretty standard, decently slow. It just depends on the type of tango. A lot of Latin ballroom dances are either really slow or really fast. There are a lot of other different types of ballroom, and there's also it's become a lot more competitive in recent years. Again, ballroom can be kind of declared as anything social dancing. So that could even mean like folk dancing or line dancing, just something where you're doing it with another person. While like um, the type of ballroom that's like a waltz, foxtrot, tango, those are more competitive styles now. So like an example, um, if you've heard of it, Dancing with the Stars, they do a lot of ballroom mixed with some other different types. They've done contemporary before. They haven't necessarily done a ballet piece yet that I know of, but they do mainly ballroom, and so they do like the waltz, the foxtrot, the tango, um, like salsa, which is another style of Latin ballroom dancing, and it's just a really good example of um, normal people kind of taking on that social dancing and kind of making it into a competition, which is always really fun to see. But anyone can do ballroom dancing as long as you have another partner.